Hi, I'd like to show off a volumetric lighting technique that I figured out how to create in Roblox back in 2018. I've been holding on to this technique for quite some time, and I actually did have a video previously about it, but even in that video, it just showed the effect. It didn't show how to do it or anything. So I thought I'd make a video showing how I did do it and how you can do it. So first things first, if you don't know what volumetric lighting is, it's pretty much light rays but in 3D space. So as you can see here, and you may be thinking, isn't this already in Roblox? And no, it is not, because this works from any angle. So you can look at it from behind and you can still see the rays and everything. This is not the same as the sun rays effect, which if I enable it here, you can see how that works. Which the sun rays effect does not cast shadows from decals. So, and not to mention with the sun rays effect, you get really weird things like down here, these rays are in the floor. It's odd. So, this system is it's 3D. It doesn't have any of the issues that screen space does or anything. Not that it's without its downsides, though. But it's really nice. So, how did I do this? So, in the original demo video for the Future's Bright lighting system, which is the system with the shadows and whatnot, the newer lighting, in a part of that video, light influence on particles is demonstrated. And he pulls out a lantern, and the smoke cloud that he's within lights up. And ever since I saw that, I wanted to use that to create volumetric lighting. So as soon as I got my hands on the demo, I was messing around with things like filling rooms with particles to see if that could accomplish the effect. The thing about using particles to do that was it was very laggy, it was very buggy, and it was hard to keep it dense enough to not look odd. And it wasn't until a while later that while playing a game on Roblox, I realized while I was in a boat, and the game used this layered water kind of effect. And I noticed that the character's shadow, when it went over the water, it created this sort of stepped effect. And when you look at it from the right angle, it has this kind of really neat 3D looking effect to it. And I thought, what if I use this to try and create the volumetric system that I wanted? So I first start off with just the same thing, a block of a bunch of layered transparent pieces, and this actually worked pretty well. As you can see from above, it looks great and everything. But the problem with this technique is that the moment you look up, you can't see anything. This is because the bottom of these bricks are shaded, and you can't turn this off. There's no way to turn it off. The backside of blocks are just shaded. It's just kind of how it is. So I knew that this couldn't exactly accomplish what I wanted unless I figured out a way to get rid of that shading. And that wasn't until about a year later that I found out how to do that, when I was messing with a waterfall plugin. It just creates a beam between two parts and uses a scrolling texture. But if you actually select the beams and turn light influence to 1, you can see that light passes through it. There is no shading here. So it removes the problem of having the backside shaded. So now you can see light through it, meaning you can actually look at the sun and see, you would be able to see rays, theoretically. So I created a block of these, and it worked. You can see the ray effect, and from behind. And of course, you can like look up and see it and whatnot. From here, I just had to figure out how to connect it to the camera. And how I actually did that was, because I don't have any coding knowledge or anything, I actually took a FPS gun script. So here is the actual gun on the screen. And I glued this box of beams to this gun so that it would follow you around and whatnot. And this works and everything, but of course it's pretty flawed. It has no culling or any performance work, so it does not run as well as it could. Not that it doesn't run well in general, because I mean it's just a bunch of stacked blocks, or stacked beams. So it's not very performant, but I mean it would help a lot if the parts outside the camera are culled, because all around my screen, where you can't even see, there is still beams and whatnot, even behind my camera. And those are taking away performance needlessly, basically. But one thing I did find out was, you can obviously see that this is very, very foggy, like to the point where it's not exactly usable. So what I actually found out later on was that instead of having, right now there's two of these blocks inside intersecting each other, and one's turned 90 degrees, so it creates this kind of squared effect. And I originally had thought this was required so that specific angles wouldn't look weird and whatever, and I later found out this actually wasn't the case. One of these can be entirely removed, and as long as the beam is facing the camera, there we go. As long as the beam is facing the camera, then it's fine. It does not need more beams turned 90 degrees or any of that. This works just fine. So yeah. Some other things is that it needs to have light emission to 1. If it doesn't, there will be weird coloring artifacts. And also, environmental diffuse scale, I'd say shouldn't be above 0.5. Otherwise, you also can get some odd coloring artifacts. I can probably show some right here. Yes, like this becomes very, very blue, and it looks kind of odd. And you can get some weirder stuff than that, but I'd say 0.5 is about the best of both worlds. Environmental specular scale, that can stay, that's fine. But yeah. This actually used to work with point lights and whatnot. Unfortunately, this seems to be broken. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if this is intentional. Even the last time I was messing around with this system, it worked just fine. So I'm not sure if this is a bug and they're going to fix it or something. So yeah. I do have this sort of water test thing. So the way this works is it uses a scrolling texture underneath the water, which casts a shadow, which looks really odd when you look down, but when you look up, it has this really cool sort of underwater foggy effect, or whatever you want to call it, and I just thought that was neat. I think it looks pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, I've been holding on to this system, and it's not like I've done anything with it, so I thought I'd just show others how to do it. So yeah. That's about it.